Hi everybody, it's Charlie here and welcome to our live webinar, How to Crowdfund a Creative Business. This live session is part of the newly launched Members Club, and we've collaborated with Raimonda Jankunaite, who will be taking us through all things crowdfunding for business. So Raimonda mentors early stage startups during their crowdfunding journey and has an online learning platform. So she is really the perfect person to be talking today, and she'll be answering all of our burning questions in the live Q&A at the end. Of course, if there are any questions that you have or anything you're not sure about, just put your all your questions into the chat box as usual, and I will ask them throughout or save them until the end. Yeah, so without further ado, I will pass you over to Raimonda. Hi, Raimonda, welcome.
Hi Charlie, and hi everyone that tuning in live. It's really nice to meet you, connect with you. It's really a pleasure to be here and just deliver the session on crowdfunding. I've been doing crowdfunding for a few years now, and I have helped several great startups launch their ideas to successful campaigns and ongoing businesses. I'm really passionate about sustainable businesses and creative businesses as well, because I do believe there are amazing ideas out there. And the most important part, that usually there isn't enough funding. So you have to be quite creative in terms of how to fund your creative business. And I do think that crowdfunding could be a good way to go about it. So I'm quite excited to share today I prepared a bit of slides and any questions that you might have. There might be some of the things that is repeating a little bit from the last video that we did, but I do feel that there are some important things to go through. So we'll just sort of dive into it and cover some of the basics and just move on to the questions at the end. Okay, so what I can do, I can share my screen with you guys and we could get started. So let me just get set up. Okay. So there's my slides. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about crowdfunding, and this is where your crowdfunding success starts. What we're going to be talking about today is what types of crowdfunding there are. There are a few different types, so it's important to distinguish them, and when you're choosing a crowdfunding platform, to understand what type of crowdfunding you're going for, what type of projects you can or you shouldn't crowdfund, how you can validate your idea, and in some cases, some crowdfunding campaigns fail. So why do they fail, and how you can avoid that or how you can deal with that. So we'll cover that in a little bit more detail. And we'll talk about your strategy, all the things that you do need to run a crowdfunding campaign. So anything from video, your pitch, how to create a pitch. So we'll be covering that in more detail. And then we have a little bonus at the end for those that stay on till the end. And we'll do a Q&A session at the end. So let's get started.
Okay, that sounds brilliant.
Okay, so what is crowdfunding? So crowdfunding is a practice of raising money for your project through a large number of people who each contribute a relatively small amount of money to help you make your idea happen.
Actually, Raimonda, sorry, interrupting you quickly. We're just having a bit of a technical thing with your slides, which don't seem to be coming up. I don't know if there's something that needs to happen with your settings, maybe?
Okay, let's give it a try.
I'll just double check in the chat box if everyone can. Oh, there you go. That seems to be working. Perfect.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. I could make it bigger. We can just go like that, so you can kind of. Is that okay? Can you see it?
Yes. Is there a way to make the main slide big?
I did, but it doesn't seem to.
Oh, it doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
It doesn't do it very well. Okay, let's give it a go. Let's go through some of these slides, and then I can just jump on. I do like to people as well. So you can start
Perfect.
talking and just expressing myself. Okay, so yes, basically crowdfunding is raising money for your idea through a large number of people, usually using an online platform. There are quite a few online platforms to choose from. There are some bigger ones, there's some specialized ones, but basically crowdfunding is about raising money through a large amount of people and small amount of money. So why crowdfunding is a good idea? It is a good idea if you want to raise awareness for what you're building. So if you have a product or an idea or create a business and you haven't really got it out there yet, it's a great way to raise awareness for what you are building. It also helps you to validate it. So if it's something new and creative and you're not sure whether there will be audience for what you're building when you finish building it, it's a great way to start validating that idea. And actually, in the process, you do get a lot of feedback from your potential backers, from people looking at your campaign, and they do understand this is not a finished or not the end product. So it's really, really good to do it early to help you validate it and get some new ideas. It is a concept of sell before you make. So in a way, you're not risking so much. You're not laying out so much money before you to put out your product out in the market. So that means you can raise money before you actually get a product out and ready. It is low risk. If you don't raise the money, then you haven't spent anything on developing your product, your end product. So it really minimizes your risk. You get a lot of feedback and you get access to a lot of new audience. So in a process, you will build up a community. People that supported your project will be behind you and they will want to see this idea happen. So you'll get a sense of great support behind what you're doing. And hopefully it will give you a lot of encouragement to keep building your product and get it out there. So let's talk about different types of crowdfunding. It's very important to distinguish that, especially for those who are in the UK. There's a lot of, when you talk about crowdfunding, people already assume it's equity. And equity crowdfunding is a type of crowdfunding where you would give away part of your business. So types of Crowdcube or Angels Den, these are type of organizations that would expect you to give away equity in your business. And peer-to-peer lending is where people lend you money with the expectation to have return on their money. So that's the two types on the left-hand side that you can see. On the right-hand side, you'll see rewards and donations. This is different in terms of you do not need to give up any equity in your business and you do not need to give back the money to the people that donated or pledged to your project. So it's a very different concept and people wouldn't necessarily expect money back. They would expect you to deliver rewards that you have promised. But that means they are your supporters, they are your early customers as opposed to your business partners or investors. And on those two sides of crowdfunding areas, the mindset of the investors that coming on board are very, very different. And the way you present your information to these types of crowdfunding campaigns are very different. So today we're actually going to talk about donations and rewards type of crowdfunding because I believe for creative and fashion businesses, this is the type of crowdfunding that works the best. For equity crowdfunding, you do need to have very detailed business plan. It usually works for businesses that are already generating quite a lot of money or generating revenue in their business. So it's not for early stage startups. Okay, so today we're going to talk more about the rewards and donations. Okay, so what can you crowdfund with the rewards and donations-based crowdfunding? These are some of the areas that I could think of, but there are many other different projects. You can crowdfund different things. So there are film projects, fashion projects where you're creating maybe a fashion line or a handbag or type of shoes. I've seen quite a few quite a few crowdfunding campaigns around shoes and sustainable shoes or running shoes that are quite different, not something that you would get on a high street or in the shop. So for these very unique ideas, crowdfunding works really well. Also arts and creative projects, again, things that you cannot buy in a shop or online. Sustainable projects, ethical, ecological type of projects do really well because, again, you are creating a community around it and you're trying to make a difference with your project. So crowdfunding works really well because you're attracting a big audience behind your project. Music and events, these type of projects work really well. Product-driven campaigns, technology campaigns have done really, really well, especially on Kickstarter, where there's innovative technology being launched, not something that is available out in the market, and it solves a problem for someone. That's the important part about solving someone's problem. So if you can really address someone's problem with your product and it's something different, then you are so much more likely to be successful in your crowdfunding campaign. You know, creative design, those sort of projects as well do really well because, again, it's not something you can just go ahead and buy in the shops. Innovations in games, so that's another few areas that do quite well in crowdfunding. So how can you validate that your project will succeed? You know, before you start any project, it's important to start with a bit of research. And research in terms of what are you creating? Is there a need? Is there a problem that you are solving for someone? So joining some groups that are in your area of expertise, where you know people that are interested in something that you would be building, engaging in conversations, going onto websites like Quora to just do a little bit of research, what people are talking about in your specific area is quite important. Also, do you have a story? You know, is there a story behind what you are doing? Is it inspiring? Will it make people take action and, you know, get behind your story? Stories are really, really powerful, and it's one of the big drivers of successful campaigns if you are able to share your story. And what I do see in business is that once you have launched your business, you don't get that opportunity to share your real story. So doing it with crowdfunding, that's your chance to share your true story of why did you start it, what is the passion behind it, why people should support your project, than going on the high street and buying, you know, maybe a piece of clothing. So this part is really about sharing your story and inspiring people to take action. And if you are creating something different and you're not sure about would this work in terms of crowdfunding, I would suggest that you would go on to different crowdfunding platforms and do a little bit of research. Is what you are creating have been done before? Has there been successful campaigns? And if you select, I would say 5 to 7 or 8 campaigns that are similar to yours, and do a little bit of comparison between them. Have a look at details of how much money they raised, where are they located, what were they offering, what were their story, what kind of problem were they addressing, how did they present it. So all of these things, if you study similar campaigns to yours, you will find some similarities and you will learn a lot through doing this exercise. So before you go on to the full process of crowdfunding, it's very important that you do a bit of research in this area, okay? So what do you need to succeed? This is a big one, and there's so much to cover, really. that we can talk about, from social media, growing your awareness, to having a plan. But I have put a few bullet points to talk about in more detail, but just what you need to succeed. So having a strategy and plan in place before you start is probably one of the most important parts of running a successful crowdfunding campaign. So planning really starts with how much money you're looking to raise. And that's a big question, because a lot of people are not sure, how much money do I need? But have a think in terms of you starting your business, and for this campaign to be successful, you need a certain amount of money to make it happen. So really budgeting and planning ahead and thinking, right, I need £20,000, for example, to be able to buy my material, to be able to produce this material, to be able to ship it, but also to achieve your end goal. And your end goal might be, I need to build a website, or, I need to build a business for this money. So you really need to have a think why you're crowdfunding and build it into your strategy and plan before you start. And having a plan in terms of your launch plan as well, and who you are targeting. So all of these things. So at the end, if you stick around, I will send you a workbook that you can use, a free workbook that kind of outlines the planning process for you, and you can just use it to make some notes and address some of these important things in your planning stages. Another important aspect is having early backers. A lot of crowdfunding, there's a misconception, I would say, about crowdfunding platforms, that if I put on my project, someone will back it. That there are enough people on these platforms lurking there and waiting for your project to go live. The truth is that you actually need to do a little bit of your own work behind the scenes. And if you see, really, really successful campaigns, it's because the person who launched this campaign, have put in a lot of work behind it. So they've done some pre-launch activities. They gathered some of the early backers. The way crowdfunding campaigns work are based on algorithms. And I'm sure you have heard quite a bit of talks about algorithms and how Facebook change it all the time. So crowdfunding campaigns, platforms are based on some of the similar algorithms. So the more successful your campaign is, the more likely it is to be shown to more people. So once you launch your campaign, it's important to have at least 20%, maybe 30% of your campaign goal reached. So even if it means you setting a lower goal, so let's say you do need £20,000-25,000, but you can make this project work with 10 or 15, and it's more achievable for you. So I would even suggest setting a lower goal for your campaign, so that way you can reach it easily, as opposed to, well, I don't know whether I can reach it, but I could try it. I would say set a lower goal, one that you can reach, and aim to overfund, because most of the crowdfunding campaigns or platforms allows you to overfund. So I would suggest definitely set a goal that is achievable for you, where you can attract backers. Another important part is having some rewards. If you put yourself in the mindset of the backer, the person who will be putting the money behind your campaign, have a think about why would they support your project compared to all the other projects out there, or going and buying something similar on a high street. There are a few things that will motivate the backers. One of them is your story, the way you presented it, maybe yourself, if this person is connected with you in some way. But another reason why they would support your project is the rewards. So having attractive enough rewards for someone to say, wow, this is a really good deal. It's something that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise unless I support this project on this crowdfunding campaign. So do think about what would your backers want, and price it in a way that is attractive for them to support the project. Another super important part is having a video. And I know having a video, you can really overthink it and say, wow, it takes so much, but try not to overthink it. And just have a video, maybe shoot it yourself or edit it, or if you have someone to help you, do tap into that help, because video could really improve your chances of success. Campaigns that do not have video are much more likely to fail. So just make sure you do have some kind of video. It doesn't have to be long. It can be a minute long. It could be 90 seconds. I wouldn't suggest doing it more than 3 minutes long, because just purely people attention span isn't that long, unfortunately. So I would say just make it short, and make a call to action in your video to talk about yourself or the product that you're creating. Show your passion, and people really want to connect with you. So definitely have a video. Having some social media exposure, it's important, and having some of your own following, people that are already aware of your business. The stronger community that you have before you launch, the more chances of succeeding, the more chances of success that you have for your campaign. A lot of people launch campaigns and they don't do any pre-launch activities. They don't build anticipation, excitement, and they do end up failing. So before you launch, you should really build some of that anticipation with your community. You can start as early as 2-3 months in advance, or you can start 4 weeks in advance, just building that anticipation and talking about it, that you're about to launch something exciting. Gather your email list, build it up before you launch, because if you expect people to come and support your project on the very first day that you launch, it probably won't happen. So do start building anticipation early, or as early as you can. And the most important part is probably your own perseverance and your own input. Crowdfunding it's not the easiest way of raising money, but you need to have belief in yourself that you can achieve it, and perseverance. Crowdfunding campaigns go through initial excitement and people backing your project, but at some point that excitement dips. And then you have the remaining, I would say, 30 days to go through your campaign. So your perseverance and your belief is what's going to drive the rest of the campaign. This is what's going to inspire people to take action behind your campaign. So you can't give up. Even if it's not going the right direction, you don't know. There might be people that will come halfway through. They might just be watching and waiting for their pay to come in at the end of the month, and they will support your campaign. But if you give up too early, then you're really going to fail. So your perseverance is probably one of the most important parts in succeeding. Charlie, how's that? How are we going with this?
I think we're going well.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so far, no questions, all good.
Okay, brilliant. Do feel free to ask questions if something that you're unsure about. Do engage. I can't see any questions, but I know Charlie will just let me know if there are any.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back to why crowdfunding fails, and some of the things I already mentioned, but some of the important things again to just mention again, and that's not having a plan or really not knowing how to do it. So even if you're not sure about how it works, do learn, even I have built an online platform of how to help you through this process, this preparation and planning. So if you need any help, do reach out. But the planning and preparation is super important, so do make sure you spend a bit of time doing that. And hopefully at the end of today, you'll receive a free workbook. So That's really exciting, and do use it as well. So you also don't want to be like this guy sitting here. You don't want to be sitting on a couch and expecting campaign to just be successful by itself. So don't be a couch potato and sit there and just expect that crowdfunding platform will do all the work for you, because it's not going to do it. We are entrepreneurs. We're people that we go out there and we get it, and we're the ones responsible for our own success and, you know, for our own businesses. So it comes down to you to make the success. Another reason why people fail in crowdfunding is having absolutely no audience and not building that momentum before and during the campaign. Again, we already spoke about it, but that's one of the reasons why crowdfunding campaigns fail. And as much as you can learn from the successes when you do your research, you can also learn from failures. So don't be afraid to have a look at the campaigns that also failed, because it will become apparent as you're looking at these campaigns of what they did right and what they didn't do, which means, well, maybe they just didn't have the following, or they didn't build that momentum, and whoever started a campaign that failed is probably given up halfway through. So yeah, you do need that perseverance. And again, you do need a video for a successful crowdfunding campaign. So don't shy away from camera. Okay, so a little bit about your strategy. So you need to pick a platform that suits you best. And in terms of a platform that suits you best, there are many out there, but I would probably suggest choosing a platform that either is in your area of expertise, so a specialized platform, if you have a very specialized business and there is a platform for you, or going for one of the bigger ones. Again, looking at the platform's terms and conditions. Each platform works differently, so do look into why they are different. And if we're going to mention some examples, I would say one of the bigger platforms are Kickstarter. And something that you need to know about Kickstarter, that Kickstarter works on fixed funding model. So if you set yourself a, let's say, £20,000 goal for your campaign, you absolutely have to reach that goal for you to be able to keep the money. So if you do not reach your goal in the set amount of time that you have set for yourself, you basically receive nothing. In a different case, which is flexible funding, which is available through Indiegogo, but Indiegogo also have fixed as well. But if you go for a flexible type of funding, that means you can keep whatever you raise. There are benefits and drawbacks of both. The benefits of having fixed campaign means you have to reach that goal, and you will be motivated to work harder to make sure that you reach that goal, because otherwise you get nothing. And your backers will feel much more motivated to help you reach that goal as well. If it's a campaign where, well, I receive anything I raise anyway, so I don't need to raise the full goal, in that case, you're not as motivated to really push hard and achieve success. So there are benefits and drawbacks. Set yourself goals that you know you can achieve, and set yourself expectations. I'm not saying in terms of set yourself such a high expectations. No, but just set yourself expectations. What you expect from the process. What is it that you want to achieve as a result of doing this? Is it more awareness? Is it the funding itself? Because there are other benefits of doing crowdfunding, not just the money. So set yourself expectations and some goals and try and achieve it. You know, don't set yourself such a huge goals that you can't achieve it, because that's just going to make you feel, you know, a failure, and you really don't want that. You don't want that to happen. And coming back again to do some research. Sorry, some of these things are repetitive. I hope I'm not boring you. And something that you should look into is counting your followers and your email list. These will be important. And if you have an idea of what is your following now, so if you, let's say, starting out with 1,000 followers and maybe 500 email subscribers, write it down before you start. And I mean, when you start your planning process, and have a think about what is your goal in terms of how much money you need to reach, and divide that goal by the amount of days that you're going to run your campaign. It's not advisable to run your campaign for too short of a time or too long of a time. So your sweet spot of running crowdfunding campaign is probably 30 to 40 days. There is a reason for that, and that's because it is an intensive process, and you want to have that cutoff period for people to back your project. If the campaign is so long that they can do it anytime, there is no time pressure. And likewise for you, you need to be quite strategic and focused on it for, let's say, 30 days. This is all, we're going to give it all we have. And we're going to notify all our email subscribers about it. We're going to keep them up to date with the journey of what's going on. So write down your followers, figure out your goal, and see how much you need to achieve in between. And during your pre-launch phase, you will probably grow your email list. You will grow your following list. So just see how far you have come from the beginning to where you are, when you finish your campaign. Okay, so that's your strategy covered. Again, if you have any questions, there are more things that goes into your strategy, but I'm trying to cover as much as I can in the time given today. So if you're not sure about something, do ask any questions. So a big part of your campaign is your story. And as mentioned earlier, it's an important part of your success. People don't necessarily just buy into your product or an idea, they buy into your story of the reason why you started this business or an idea, why you want to achieve maybe the impact that you are making with your business. People buy into your story. So make sure you spend quite a bit of time thinking about it, making it inspiring and unique, trying to make that connection with your audience, people that will be backing your project. So do think about them, how to make it attractive. Some of the crowdfunding platforms do guide you a little bit in this area, and they might have, let's say Indiego already have some text pre-written when you start, but that's just a guideline. So just get creative yourself and try and cover your story in much detail. And the most important part, once you launch, is sharing your journey as you go. A lot of people just kind of share it and say, well, we've launched a campaign, and then they get some funding, but they don't share the journey as they go along. People that are really following this journey with you, they are interested in updates. They are interested in how you're doing. If you've reached your milestone of, let's say, £5,000 or £1,000 even, they want to know, they want to share your success with you. They are following. These are the people that invested in you, especially people that have already backed your project. So you have to share your journey as you go, and keep people engaged, keep people interested in what you're doing, that you are actually succeeding in your campaign. Is very, very important and very interesting for everyone. So don't forget to do that as you go along. Keeping momentum, to some extent we have already covered this, but building anticipation before you launch is an important part of your campaign process. Encourage sharing. So, when you send out emails or even within your campaign page, don't just say, oh, come and give me your money or back the campaign. You should also ask for people to share it. It's okay if you can't support this campaign at this moment in time, but do share it. I really value your support, and just help me share this with your friends and your social media. So if you don't ask, you don't get. So encourage that sharing, give them a reason to do it, and make time of essence, because in a crowdfunding campaign, you only have given amount of time. So 30 days or 40 days, this is the time that you have to complete the project. So make that known, because some people might not understand how crowdfunding works. So if you only have 30 days to support my project, and also, let's say, the rewards that you're offering in your crowdfunding campaign will only be available through this campaign, then it gives them an incentive to back your project now, as opposed to waiting for when you do actually launch your business later on, after the campaign has closed. That's another area of importance, is you shouldn't crowdfund a business or a product that is already out there in the market, or you have already launched, that is already available on your website. The product you should be crowdfunding is a product that is not yet available on your website to purchase. So you haven't put it out there on Etsy, or you haven't put it out there on eBay, or Amazon, or your website. If they are able to buy your product on your website, there is really no incentive for them to back your project. So that's how crowdfunding works. Okay, so before you launch, do start preparing early. You could take up to maybe 3-4 months even to just start preparing, planning, building, raising some awareness. And it obviously depends on the size of the project that you're working on. But I would just say, do spend, I've worked with many entrepreneurs, and I do run a mentoring program that says 6 weeks mentoring program to help you prepare. But I do find that in that process, you find a week that you're busy, or you haven't got as much time to focus on the campaign, or things get delayed, life happens. So give yourself a good 2-3 months to work on this, and so you don't have to rush it at the end. Again, build momentum, generate more email subscribers, grow your following, and ask for help. The help is out there. Reach out to people that you have connected before, people that have already supported your project, people in the media. Media could really help. Your bloggers could really, really help accelerate your campaign and awareness. So reach out to these people, and you'll be surprised. They might really want to support your project. You might be aligned with what they're doing. Collaborate with other people, and you'll find more support than you ever expected. I think we covered that. Right, so crowdfunding can be used for early stage funding, validation of your ideas, and pre-ordering from potential customers and early adopters. So yes, I think I've covered the most important part. I think we can jump into doing some questions. I'm just going to turn off the slides for a little bit so we can hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, can you hear me?
I feel like I've been ranting on for so long. I want to connect with you guys.
Welcome back.
It can be quite intensive, and there is a lot of information, of course, to cover. And yeah, I hope it was useful. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer it for you, or just let me know what kind of project you're working on, so I can be more specific in the answers for you as well.
Okay, cool. I have a couple of questions. Okay. So what are the best types of rewards for fashion businesses?
Okay, for fashion businesses, I would say, first of all, offer the products that you're making. Never offer products that are not necessarily part of your range, or you would have to go out of your way and spend extra money on. So the type of rewards that you should be offering are the products that you're making. So I was working with this lady in fashion, and she had a collection of stuff. So it was a wrap me up collection. So it's clothing that you can wrap around yourself, and she was making accessories as well with it. So she has put together like outfits for you to wear. So a skirt and a top, or trousers and a top, and jewelry to go with it. That's all handmade and ethical and sustainable. So create something that you think your audience would really enjoy, they would want to buy. So always offer the products that you're making, and not like t-shirts that you can buy.
Oh, sure. And what about things that are more like service based?
Okay, there are two things. You can also offer things like exclusivity, or you can offer things like something very unique or an experience. So let's say you could say you would come to our where we make clothing. So there's another brand which I know, they, as well as making shoes, they run workshops to make shoes. So you can offer that as an experience to your audience in a way that they would engage with you and your brand. Services doesn't necessarily work as well in crowdfunding. So if you have a fashion business, then you probably would be product driven.
Okay.
Service driven.
So what about things like, I don't know, like a styling session or something? You don't think they go down that well?
Yeah, I think that could work. It, like I said, really depends on the business. And if it's something that you would offer as part of the package, if you're a stylist, yeah, I think that could work. And what you do with the rewards, you don't make too many rewards. So you would make, I would say, 6 to 10 rewards. And they go in levels. So you would start with, let's say, maybe 15, 20, 30 pounds. It depends on obviously the price of your product. But you would increase the price, and you would increase the value of your reward. So let's say the very high level reward would have, you know, that experience that goes with it. So you would have as many products, a big product included in it, but also the experience with it. So you could say you'd also get a personal styling session, and something else, and meet the founder or meet the creator, and that's exciting.
Okay, cool, amazing. Another question. Oh, I think something's happening to my screen. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, sorry, I'm back again. Another question is, what should you do if you haven't hit your target?
Okay. Again, it comes back to what kind of platform you're using, and also what your goal is. So whether you're doing the fixed or flexible. If you haven't hit your goal and there are people who supported you, but you have not received any of the money, then you should follow up with everyone. And when the campaign closes, so always wait for your campaign to close at the end. So when the campaign closes and it comes to conclusion, you should always email them to follow up and say thank you for your support, for your encouragement, for being part of this journey, and explain to them what will happen thereafter. So if you haven't raised the funding that you need and you did not keep the money, then you just explain to them what happened. If you opted in for flexible funding and you kept the money, but you haven't fully succeeded, then you should also get it. Obviously, in any case, you need to get in touch with the people you have been speaking to and tell them that the campaign came to conclusion. But you should say to them, the money obviously has been raised, some of this money has been raised, not the full amount, but regardless, they will receive their product. They will receive the reward that they opted in for. You should always keep your backers in mind and why they backed you. So if they backed you to get their reward in return, you should really honor that, because it's your reputation online, and it could be a potential customer or someone that's really supporting you. And if you kind of don't treat them well, you'll have yourself a bad reputation. So no matter what happens, you should always engage with the audience.
Okay, amazing. Fiona's got a great question, which is, what platforms would you recommend for fashion businesses?
Again, do a little bit of research. If you're in the UK, I would definitely use the either local based or one of the most popular. So I do like Indiegogo. There are some smaller ones, more specialized ones, but Indiegogo is definitely top of my list because they allow different types of campaigns to be funded on there, and you can pretty much just launch it. You don't need to go through approval process and stuff like that. There are some in Europe that are very specific to ethical fashion or fashion itself. So some of them are in France as well. I can't remember the names. I have been shown, and I've come across a few. But I'd definitely go for the bigger ones if you can.
Okay, cool. And actually, on a similar kind of question is what your thoughts are on setting up your own platform. So actually, maybe not, a platform, but kind of setting up a campaign where you're just taking the money and then you get to keep the money. So for example, you could set up a page on your own website that says we're crowdfunding and you still get all the rewards. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Again, there's with anything there are benefits and drawbacks. Benefits are that you're in full control of it. You don't have to adhere to anyone's T's and C's and stuff like that. So you can really build a campaign that you want. And for some projects, I strongly suggest, I would suggest for some of the projects to go this route. It takes a bit of time and setting it up in terms of technical knowledge. So if you do have that technical knowledge, then definitely, why not? It's definitely a good way to go. Another thing that you would be losing out on is being part of a platform and potential ecosystem of an existing platform. So myself, we used to run a crowdfunding platform in the UK, which was focused on social and sustainable businesses, and we used to actually give a lot of support to the projects that we worked with. So we used to host events for them, we used to guide them through the whole process and just make sure that they're motivated and to work on their campaigns. So in some cases, you might be able to get quite a bit of support from the platforms themselves as well.
Okay, amazing. What are some of your tips for getting your crowdfunding campaign noticed by the press before you launch? So I guess because there's so many crowdfunding campaigns, it must be so difficult to just kind of set yourself apart.
Yeah. Just like with your business, it doesn't have to be just about crowdfunding campaign. I would say build the relationships with the people that you want to. Sorry about that. I do live in London, so it's out here. Yeah, so build the relations with people, whether it's bloggers or journalists. There are human beings and there are people, and the way you approach them and build that relationship is a human relationship. It's not let me have a big database and sort of just shoot them an email about my campaign that I'm launching tomorrow. So give yourself some time. Give yourself, a couple weeks time to build it up and let them know that your campaign is launching maybe in a month time, and would they like to cover it. Do a bit of research on them, see whether that's the area they are interested in, have previously covered something similar. So do a bit of research. And having a really interesting press release, having a story, giving them as much material as you can, so something to write about, images, preparing the work for them. People are lazy, unfortunately. And the more work you can do for the journalist, probably the more chance you have of them covering the story.
Yeah, amazing. Actually, we had a talk with Francesca who is Ethical Unicorn blogger. So she does lots of eco fashion blogging, and she's massive. But she was saying she needs 2 months notice. So that's what I'm really guilty of, is not giving these poor journalists enough time to actually talk about anything. So do make sure you're planning right from even before 2 months, because then you need to have time to get in touch with all the press people as well. So great tip. If anybody else has any more questions, we're kind of rounding up now, so last chance to get your questions in. I have another one here that was sent in. is there anything else we should be doing after the funds have been raised to really maximize on the campaign and the community?
Updating them, social media, emails, giving them a personal touch. So if you promise rewards and you've succeeded, giving them that personal touch when it comes to rewards. So maybe handwritten notes, if you're sending something by post, whether you're sending something digital, again, that personal touch. Try and connect with them. These are the people that supported you early. So really to maximize that you can build the relationships with these people. Ask them to engage with you, to help you tweet about it or just respond to your emails. What I do like personally is doing events. I do like live events where you get to meet people. So what has worked really well for some of the campaigns I've mentored has been the launch event, and that went out on Facebook Live as well as a live physical event. And just in that event, they raised over £2,000 just as a result of this live event that I suggested to him. And without this event, he would have failed because he closed his campaign. He successfully funded it 12 hours before the close of it. So small things that you do at the very beginning could make a huge difference at the end, especially in a fixed type of crowdfunding campaign. Or, if you want, you can also do the follow-on meet and greet or kind of live event towards the end. So the beginning and the end of your campaign is very, very important because that's where you would most likely get most of the donations for the campaign.
Oh, yeah, amazing. Have you actually, on that note, have you had any kind of amazing or come across anything that's a bit different in your kind of crowdfunding experience that maybe we could borrow?
Different, building that experience with people. I have come across like a hosted competition online that was really interesting, and they said, do you want to get a free light bulb? And it was an eco light bulb that guaranteed to work for like 10 years. And it says, well, if you want this free eco light bulb, what you can do is leave your email here. And it was actually embedded in Facebook chatbots, so Facebook Messenger. So everything was automated. And it says, great, so now you left your email address. Would you share it with 2 of your friends or tag 2 of your friends in this post so you get more chance of winning this? And we'll come back to you when we have launched our crowdfunding campaign. And you sort of know you're probably not going to win it. But it's that human curiosity and kind of the gamified aspect of it and that connection that they just built. They caught my attention because it's something I'm already interested in. So look, this is something, get a free light bulb and leave your email so we can get in touch with you. So I did it just purely because obviously I am in this area and the subject was interesting because I am in sustainability. I like the sustainable project. But I really like the experience of it. So.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. Any last pieces of advice for kind of eco entrepreneurs? So we're mainly a lot of the members are building products, so either fashion, accessories, or soft furnishing products.
Yeah. Not just having an eco business and making a difference, but making sure what you are building serves a purpose or serves a need. So if it is a bit of clothing that is sustainable and ecological, that it also serves the purpose that it's meant for. So when people wearing it and they're using it, they find the value in it as well. A lot of sustainable business kind of overlook the fact that these products will be used when people buy it. So maybe the quality isn't great or application isn't great. So just making sure that the product itself is good and something people will want.
Okay, amazing. And so where can we find you online? Where can we go and stalk you on Instagram and all that stuff?
I am quite active online. We have a group called Ideas Velocity. Should I post a link to something?
Yeah, good idea.
That work. So we have a Facebook page called Crowd Velocity, and that's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. But we also have a group which we just started with a group, but we aim to actually deliver some support and answer any specific questions and share some tips in this support group. So you are more than welcome to join it. And what I'll do, Charlie, I will send you the PDF for the workbook. So what you can do is follow up with everyone and send them a free workbook if they wish to use it.
Okay, that sounds absolutely amazing. I was going to say, yeah, let's, if you send it over, we can send it out rather than everyone worrying about where it's going to come from or getting it off you. That's absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited to look at it as well, actually.
Very colorful. You know, our brand is, we have used a lot of yellow in our brand, and that really for us represents the creativity, because entrepreneurs are very creative. They come up with ideas and they think differently than most of the people, I would say. So it takes a lot of creativity to come up with these ideas. So that's why we use a lot of yellow in our branding.
Oh, I see. Okay, amazing. Well, that's fantastic. So that's been super, super informative. Thank you so much for your time again. And yeah, I hope I'm allowed to say that if anyone has any follow-up questions, they should just get in touch with you directly.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'll send you the workbook, and thank you everyone that stayed on to hear it, and everyone that watching playback. I hope it was useful and interesting. And you know, you can always join the group if you need any more sort of clarity or you want to ask some questions. Just feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey,
bye.